Thank you for joining us today at noon. I'm Brianna Fernandez. The second teen charged in the rock-throwing death of Alexa Bartel pled guilty this morning. Nicholas Carroll Chick was supposed to go on trial this summer. Now he could face 35 to 72 years in prison. Crime and Justice reporter Kelly Rinke was inside that courtroom today. And Kelly, this comes just a couple of days after that first defendant pled guilty as well,
it was
right?
just a couple days ago. It was just late last week. And this is very similar to the agreement that we saw last week. Prosecutors dropped other more serious charges, including that first-degree murder charge. Now only one teen, Joseph Koenig, is scheduled to go to trial. The two who have now pled guilty have agreed to testify against him. Carroll Chick, who's on the left, pled guilty to 3 charges, including second-degree murder and attempted first-degree murder. This is for a series of rock-throwing attacks between February and April of last year. On the night Alexa Bartel died, prosecutors say Carroll Chick, Joseph Koenig, and Zachary Kwok threw rocks from a moving truck and targeted other drivers. 3 people were hurt and Alexa Bartel was killed. Carroll Chick agreed in court today. Koenig threw the rock that killed Bartel that night. Carroll Chick was the person who provided that rock to him. Zachary Kwok, who pled guilty last week, doesn't face as many years behind bars. He was not involved in the other rock-throwing attacks before April. He faces between 20 and 32 years behind bars. Kwok and Carroll Chick will be sentenced in September, and that 13, Joseph Koenig, is set to go to trial in late July.
And then what can we expect for that third suspect?
Well, so now the 2 defendants have, these 2 have agreed to testify against him. We'll see if it goes to trial, but right now it is expected to go to trial. They were supposed to be tried all separately. So now that trial is scheduled for late July, and these 2 will be sentenced in September. Very emotional for these families on both sides. We had Alexa Bartel's family and friends that were filling up half of that courtroom today, and then Carroll Chick's parents were also there, who were also crying. So emotional for both sides of the courtroom.
Yeah, no, definitely a lot of new developments. Thank you so much, Kelly. New at noon, the man who hit a group of first responders while driving drunk last December has pleaded guilty. Benjamin Winters pleaded guilty to all charges against him, which include a pair of vehicular assaults. The initial crash happened along 76 near Sable in Commerce City last year. CSP says Winters crashed into Commerce City police and South Adams County firefighters while they were investigating a separate crash. Winters is set to be sentenced on August 9th. Closing arguments have begun for a man accused of killing 4 people and fleeing to Mexico. Police say Joseph Castorena killed 4 people in Aurora in October of 2022. 3 of the victims were relatives of Castorena's ex. The 4th was killed when he came upon the shooting. Court documents say his ex had filed a restraining order against him, and police say he showed up at the house a week later and killed 4 people. His ex ran away and survived. Police say he fled to Mexico with the help of his brothers and cousins. We'll have more on the closings later today on 9 News. Right now, a portion of people living in Castle Pines are under a boil water advisory. The Castle Pines North Metro District says it's because of a water line rupture that happened last night. If you do have water, that make sure you bring it to a boil for at least 1 minute before drinking or cooking with it. You can also use bottled waters and make sure you do not drink untreated tap water, and that includes ice makers or water dispensers. Extra caution should be taken for infants, the elderly, and people with compromised immune system. The district tells us they hope to have things fixed by later this afternoon. We'll have more from the Castle Pines water boil notice today at 4 with Tom and Kim as well. And back here home, taking a live look outside right now from Horsetooth Reservoir to Lookout Mountain. We're seeing a little bit of everything from both sides. So it's going to be a little cloudy around the state today. And our meteorologist, Chris Bianchi, is here. Chris, what can we expect this weekend, especially because I know a lot of people are probably either going to attend the Colfax Marathon or run the Colfax Marathon like us.
Yeah, we're gonna do a relay. But the Colfax, hey, the weather looks great for the Colfax.
Okay, good.
Or the full, I should say, as well. But in terms of today, you can tell it's a little unsettled. But today's our last kind of unsettled day for a while. We're gonna be talking about lots of sunshine starting tomorrow. But today we do have showers and storms around. Starting to see those develop. We were just showing you up by Horsetooth Reservoir. We're seeing that rain develop. That's the beginning of what's going to be a fairly active day. It's certainly notably cooler. Probably didn't have to tell you that. You probably already noticed the cooler conditions, and it is warmer today as well. So for today, mid-60s for us in Denver. That's about 10 degrees cooler than yesterday. We got up to about 78 in Denver yesterday. Today, 66, mostly cloudy skies, showers and storms. Those will be concentrated south of downtown Denver. So HD Doppler radar showing us some of those first showers starting to develop, and also starting to see some develop here into the San Juans as well. But this is the kind of initial little bit of rain, maybe a quick little thunder shower approaching Fort Collins as we speak. But this rain will kind of multiply, intensify as we head over the next couple of hours. Those showers and storms pretty concentrated here on the Palmer Divide. So Douglas County, Albert County, you'd have the best chance at seeing those showers and maybe even some small hail later on today. Then those showers and storms will push their way on out later on this evening. For tonight, we'll drop back into the mid-40s for us, isolated early storms, and those lows tonight mostly in the 40s. And that 7-day forecast, it warms on up with a lot of 80s for us over the next few days. Details on that and our next chance for storms after today, which will probably be next week. Details on all that coming up in my full forecast in a few minutes.
Chris, thank you so much. Today makes 3 days since a hiker went missing after reaching Long's Peak. Lucas Mackay was reported missing after he didn't return home from Rocky Mountain National Park. 9 News reporter Courtney Yoon has more on this story.
23-year-old Lucas Mackay was last heard from around 1 p.m. on Sunday. He had texted a friend that he made it to the summit of Long's Peak and hasn't been heard from since. According to Rocky Mountain National Park, they say the military has offered to help with the search effort. Spokesperson Kyle Patterson says the plan is to have crews spend the night on the mountain tonight with better weather expected tomorrow. Patterson says Mackay's car is still parked at the Long's Peak trailhead. His girlfriend Natalie Dodgen describes him as a big kid and a space nerd who loves to make people smile.
He's very strong. He's very fit. And I hope that, everyone is doing everything that they can to bring him home at this point.
Rescue crews battled strong winds and whiteout conditions searching for Mackay on Tuesday. Conditions are expected to be difficult again today. In Longmont, Courtney Yoon, 9 News.
Right now, Slovakia's prime minister is fighting for his life after getting shot at a political event today. In a televised statement, the country's president said a suspect is in custody. The shooting comes 3 weeks ahead of the crucial European Parliament elections. President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump are set for a debate showdown. Both accepted an invitation from CNN for a June 27th debate. This comes after President Biden pulled out of the traditional debates set up by the Commission on Presidential Debates and challenged former President Donald Trump to a debate showdown. CNN says a debate will be held at its Atlanta studios without an audience. Additional details will be announced at a later date. Inflation has cooled off for the first time this year. According to the Consumer Price Index report released today, last month prices increased 3.4% from a year earlier. That's down from 3.5% in March. Now, while the report shows a progress in taming prices, it still might be enough to convince the Federal Reserve to lower interest in the next couple of months. People are also starting to limit their spending. This morning, the Commerce Department reported that retail sales in April didn't change from the month before.